I was sitting in a restaurant booth, completely alone, waiting for my food, when I heard a voice from the booth directly behind me. I froze, because that voice belonged to my daughter-in-law, and what she was saying made my blood run cold. She was laughing, actually laughing, telling someone on the phone that the transfer already went through, that I would never check in time, and that by next week they would be completely untouchable. I sat there, completely still, staring at my coffee cup, afraid that even breathing too loud would give me away. I had no idea in that moment that what I was hearing was only the beginning, and I had absolutely no idea just how deep this rabbit hole actually went. My name's James Calloway. I am 67 years old. I built everything I have with my own two hands, and the person sitting in that booth behind me, smiling and laughing like she had already won, had no idea who she was dealing with. Welcome to Stories of Mr. Dreamer, and today I am going to tell you exactly how I handled it. Before I go any further, if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button right now and give this video a like. I share stories like this every single week, and your support is what keeps this channel going. Now let me take you back to where all of this really started, because to understand what happened, you need to understand who I am and what I built. 35 years ago, I started Calloway Construction from absolutely nothing. No loans, no investors, no family money, just me, a second-hand truck, a set of basic tools, and a willingness to outwork every single person around me. My wife Carol was right there beside me from day one. She handled the books, managed the clients, kept everything organized while I was out on job sites 6 days a week. We were a real team, the kind of team that only gets stronger when things get hard. 20 years in, Calloway Construction was one of the most respected mid-sized construction firms in our entire state. We had contracts with city governments, school districts, hospitals. We had built something real. Then Carol had a stroke. She survived, but she never fully recovered. For 3 years, I've watched the strongest woman I had ever known slowly lose her ability to do the things she loved. She passed away on a Tuesday morning in April, quietly, with me holding her hand. I was 58 years old, and suddenly I was running a company, grieving a wife, and trying to figure out how to keep breathing all at the same time. My son Marcus was 26 when his mother died. Smart, hardworking, loyal. He had grown up on job sites, knew the business inside and out. After Carol passed, he threw himself into the company completely. By the time he was 30, he was managing entire project divisions on his own. I was proud of him every single day. I started thinking about stepping back, maybe finally taking some time to rest, maybe traveling a little. Carol always wanted to go to Greece. I figured maybe I'd go for both of us. And then Marcus met Christina. Christina was 28 when Marcus brought her home for the first time. Stunning, no question. Articulate, charming. The kind of woman who walks into a room and immediately knows exactly how to work it. She told me how much she respected what I had built. She asked thoughtful questions about the business. She smiled at all the right moments. But something about her made me uncomfortable in a way I could not explain. When she thought I wasn't looking, her eyes were always scanning, always calculating. She asked about the company structure more than once. She asked about retirement plans, about ownership transfer, about how decisions got made at the top. I told myself she was just curious. I told myself Marcus was happy and that was what mattered. So I stopped second-guessing myself, booked a flight to Arizona to visit my brother for 2 weeks, and tried to let go. I was in Arizona, day 9 of my trip, sitting on my brother's back porch enjoying the first real peace I had felt in years, when Marcus called. "Dad," he said, "Christina's cousin Victor has this incredible opportunity. He's developed a project management software specifically for construction companies. He needs a capital partner. I'm thinking about committing $1.5 million from the company account." I sat up straight in my chair. $1.5 million to a software startup run by my future daughter-in-law's cousin, using money from the company Carol and I had spent 3 decades building. I said absolutely not. Marcus pushed back hard. He said I never trusted his judgment. He said Mom would have supported him. That one landed like a punch. I told him we were not making a decision this big over the phone, that we would sit down properly when I got home, and that nothing moved until then. He agreed, reluctantly, and hung up, and I sat there on that porch, feeling something dark settle in my stomach. I tried to enjoy the last few days, told myself I was overreacting. but I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Christina's calculating smile, heard Marcus's voice on that call. Too eager, too defensive, too rehearsed. On day 11, I changed my flight. Came home 3 days early. Did not tell him Marcus. Just landed, got my bag, and stopped at a restaurant near my house to get something to eat before heading home. Sat down in a corner booth, ordered coffee, and that is when I heard her. Christina's voice, coming from the booth directly behind me. She was on the phone, and she was not whispering. She said, "Baby, it already cleared. Stop worrying. Victor's account gets the second transfer Friday. By the time the old man figures anything out, we will be long gone." She laughed, said, "He's 67 years old. He barely checks his email." Tense aside once Marcus signs the retirement paperwork. We won't need any of this anymore anyway. I sat completely still. Did not move. Did not breathe loud huslisened. She wrapped up the call, slid out of the booth, and walked right past me without a second glance. She had no idea I was sitting 4 feet away hearing every single word. Primera paid my bill, walked to my car, and called the one person I knew could help. Frank DeLu, retired police detective, 28 years, on the force, now running his own private investigations firm. "Frank," I said, "I need you tonight." It was at my house in 30 minutes. We pulled up the company accounts on my laptop, and there it was. $1.5 million, transferred 8 days ago. Signed off by Marcus Cal. Frank looked at the screen, made one call, read off an account number, and said, "Freeze it. Fraud investigation." He hung up and looked at me. "Money is locked. They cannot move it. Now we need them on record." I nodded and picked up my phone. I called Marcus, told him I had been thinking and I wanted to meet Victor, hear the pitch properly, give the whole thing a fair shot. Silence on his end. Then, seriously, I said seriously, "Tomorrow, at the house. All of us together." He said he would set it up. I put the phone down and Frank was already setting up recording equipment. Victor showed up the next morning with Christina and Marcus. Frank was in the back room, recording everything. Victor was polished. Good presentation, smooth delivery, impressive-looking slides. But the moment I started asking hard questions, incorporation papers, existing client contracts, licensing agreements, his whole demeanor shifted, said everything was confidential until the deal was finalized. I told him I did not write checks for $1.5 million without documentation. He closed his laptop, stood up, said his attorney would be in touch. Christina squeezed my arm on the way out and said, "Don't stress yourself, James. At your age, you've earned the right to just relax and let us handle things." The door closed behind them. Frank came out of the back room shaking his head. "Not enough. Yet, we have the transfer, we have the recording, but no direct admission." And then my phone buzzed. A photo. Marcus, hands tied, sitting in what looked like a car, a message underneath it. "You push too hard. Back off and transfer the remaining funds, or your son pays for it." Frank grabbed his radio. I was already on my feet. Within 15 minutes, Frank had contacts surrounding my neighborhood. Then my cell rang. "Marcus," voice barely above a whisper. "Dad. The park. 2 blocks over. Come alone. No police." He hung up. Frank pointed to the emergency button on my home security panel. "Hit it before you walk out that door." I pressed it, grabbed my jacket, and walked out into the dark alone. 2 blocks had never felt so long. Cold night, quiet streets, hands shaking. 67 years old, walking toward whatever was waiting for me in that park because my son was there and there was simply no other option. I saw flashlights near the far end of the park. Walked toward them. Small open area between 2 trees. Victor, standing with his arms crossed. Christina beside him, completely calm, almost bored. And Marcus on the ground, hands tied behind his back, head down. Victor said, "Phone out. Transfer now." I said I needed to open the banking app. 2-factor authentication. Give me a minute. Christina actually sighed and said, "I swear older people and their phones." I kept my hands moving slowly, stalling every second I could, and then I heard it. Sirens. First, distant, then suddenly, everywhere. A helicopter, spotlight cutting right through the dark above us. Victor spun around. "What did you do?" he said. I looked at him and said, "I protected my son." Officers came from every direction at once. Christina ran and made it about 6 steps before 2 officers had her on the ground. Victor raised his hands immediately. Frank walked out of the shadows and handed me a small knife. I walked straight to Marcus and cut the ropes myself. He grabbed me with both arms, shaking, and said, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what she really was." I held on to him and said, "I know, son. That is exactly why I came." Victor was charged with wire fraud, conspiracy, extortion, and kidnapping. Background check revealed he had pulled nearly identical schemes in 2 other states. Christina had been his partner in both of them. She was not a victim. She was never a victim. She had targeted Marcus specifically because of the company, because of the assets, because of me. At sentencing, Victor received 25 years. Christina received 20. I sat in that courtroom and felt something finally let go inside my chest. 4 months later, Marcus sat across from me in the office. Quiet. Serious. Changed in a way that only getting truly burned can change a person. He told me the money was fully recovered. Every cent back in the account. I told him I already knew. He looked at me and said, "Dad, I almost destroyed everything you and Mom built." I told him the truth. I said, "Your mother and I did not build this company for the money. We built it for you. You trusted someone who spent every single day pretending to deserve it. That is not your failure, son. That is hers." He sat there for a long moment, and then he said, "I'm ready to do this right." I looked at him and said, "I know you are. Primera KNC, Italiano." Today, Marcus runs Callaway Construction. Carefully, seriously, the right way. New financial controls, independent oversight. Nothing moves without full documentation and board approval. And me, I finally made it to Greece. I am sitting right now at a little table overlooking the water, drinking coffee, watching the sun come up over the Aegean Sea. Carol always wanted this. I think somehow she is seeing it too. Here's what I want you to take away from everything I just told you. Your gut is smarter than your politeness. Every single signal was there. The rehearsed smile, the calculated questions, the 2 perfect answers. I talked myself out of trusting what I already knew because I did not want to cause trouble. Do not do that. The people who want to take from you are counting on your kindness to keep you quiet. Do not give them that. Protect what you built. Trust what you know. And never let anyone convince you that being older means being weaker. Because the wisdom that age gives you, that is the most dangerous thing in the room. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had a moment where you heard something you were not supposed to hear and it completely changed everything? Or maybe a time your gut was screaming at you and you wish you had listened sooner. I read every single comment, and I love hearing your stories more than you know. And if this video meant something to you, if it made you feel something real, please share it with someone today. Share it with a friend, a family member, someone who needs to hear that it is never too late to fight back. Stories of Mr. Dreamer exists because of this community, and every share, every comment, every like keeps these stories alive and reaching people who need them. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I will see you in the very next one.